I was born in Dublin in Ireland, but I grew up in Scotland. When I was 4, my family moved across the water to Scotland. Well, when I was born, I had already had 2 sisters who played violin and a brother who played cello. So the family needed a viola player for the family string quartet. So I was born kind of into the viola. So I fairly happily accepted the position, and I went from there. I started playing first, and through playing I came around to first improvisation, then to writing things down. Because playing gives you ideas, you see what works in a piece, what doesn't. Like, you see a piece that this idea could be taken further, so then I take the idea out and I write a piece around it. Now I think the balance is changing a little. I'm writing more. But before I was mainly just a player who did a little writing on the side. Now the writing seems to be taking more importance in my life, and it's basically a question of getting more mature. I'm a little more confident with the writing. I wasn't quite so sure earlier on. Now I feel I have something to say, so I want to get it down on the paper and pass it on. Sure, it would be my family, the family string quartet. They weren't great, by the way, I have to say. And I was the youngest. At first, they were, of course, much better than I was. Then as the years went by, we used to play every Christmas, and we played Eine kleine Nachtmusik. And at the beginning, I was struggling like this, and every year I got a bit better, and every year they got a bit worse. And the end, for me, it was just torture. They were so bad. And now there's one piece I just can't hear anymore. That is Eine kleine Nachtmusik, for me, has been ruined. I remember my first close encounter with David, which was that I was on tour with the Arditi Quartet, and we came to play in San Francisco. And I made the big mistake you must never do. I put a piece of music in my luggage, and of course they lost my case. So there was one piece missing. And we got to San Francisco, and I found I have no music. And Irvin said to me, "This is San Francisco, why don't you phone David Harrington and see if he's here?" Because we were playing Goodbye Delina #2. So I phoned up David. David was there, and he said, "Hi," and I explained, we've got this terrible problem, we've lost the music, and is there any chance you could help us? And he said, "Sure, I'll come right over." He had the music, he got in the car, drove over to the rehearsal, gave me the music, stayed the rehearsal, stayed to the concert, gave a smile and left. And I thought, what a great guy. He saved my life. This idea of writing for the future generations I liked a lot. I mean, writing for the Kronos, of course, is a great honour, but to think as well that there'll be younger quartets behind them. And this influenced what I wrote a lot. So I was thinking as I was writing, now what is useful for a young quartet to learn? What is a nice thing for them to do? And I also thought, what is enjoyable in this part? Because I play myself, I know what's fun to do and what's not less fun to do. And I was trying to give everyone a share of activity, things to exchange with another. Maybe some little things they hadn't seen before, but nothing too extreme. Just lead them a little further than they were probably going anyway. And try to build up a sound world of these small little details. There's a funny feeling, I think everybody has a kind of inner intuition. You're playing around with ideas, and suddenly without thinking you think this one's right. And you know it's right. And so that idea is the one to keep. And I think that's the gift in composing. It's not difficult to have ideas. The hard thing is knowing which is a good idea and which one you can really use. And I think everyone recognizes a sort of still inner voice that guides you in these situations, says, this is a good idea. And you find like someone else leaning forward inside you with the pen on the paper and saying, try this. And when that happens, you just have to sit back and let it happen. It's very difficult. You can't force it to happen. When it happens, you know you're going the right way. And I think, so my technique was to have a clear idea of what I wanted to do in the piece, then improvise with a little detail, then find the very nice way of handling that detail, get it down the paper, and then let the piece grow like a little pearl from there. A bit of dirt at the beginning, you add a little layer, a little layer, a little layer, before you know it, you have a beautiful object in front of you. Well, this piece, I kind of inspired myself by imagining things in outer space. It's called Satellites, because I like the idea of satellites a lot, and they're part of our daily lives now. And there are several types of satellites. I particularly was interested in geostationary satellites, because this idea of traveling all the time and not getting anywhere, staying still and moving fast at the same time, is a nice thing. And in music, you can do that. So I had these very fast figures which move, and then actually don't go anywhere. And that I enjoyed. I thought it was a nice image I could work with. For the second one, I imagined these sunrises seen from outer space. Like I heard an interview with it was an astronaut, actually, from the International Space Station, saying they have 16 sunrises a day up there. And he was so amazed every time by the intensity of the sun and the intensity of the darkness which follows the sun. So that was my inspiration for the second one. I put 3 sunrises in 4 minutes with this darkness between them, which I thought was a nice inspiration for me. And then the last one, I wanted to just try all the different ways of hitting a string from a little distance and getting this nice little attack in the sound. When you tune your ear into that and start playing around with the feel of the bow, You can make the most amazing sounds out of a string instrument. Well, for my years in the Arditi Quartet, I learned a lot of very specialized techniques and a lot of fun things to do on an instrument. And when I left the quartet and started playing with other people, and especially teaching younger students, I realized I had something to explain to them. I found a few little things which would be nice to put over to them. And that's when I had the first idea of writing the viola studies, because instead of writing a book which explains things in words, I wanted people just to get up and do them. And the way to do them is to motivate them, give them a piece which sounds good, which is fun to play, which teaches you something. So I put down these studies as pieces people would learn and to be inspired by, and then turn them into duos so I could play with the person who was learning. And that, of course, goes much faster than just reading it from a book. And from there, that sort of pedagogical approach helped me in the composition, because some of my pieces are like I'm explaining something to someone. So I start with a very simple idea, and people can't follow you. If they don't hear the first words you say, they can't follow your argument. So I always start with something very small, clear, simple. And once people grasp that, then you can lead them little by little. And at the beginning, they know where they are, and you can take them a long way without losing them. If you just take the time at the beginning, the first simple steps, yes, it's like this, you hear this, and there's two of them, and now there's three of them, and now come this way, and then we're off into music. I hope they enjoy it. It'd be nice they learn something, but I hope they enjoy it. I hope they enjoy doing it together, because it's a very together piece. It's not, it's not four soloists. For me, it's a real sharing piece that they can all join in. They're very dependent on each other in this piece. They can't do it without each other. I think that's very nice to create a situation where they're all creating a world together. And I'd say they can be very creative with it. I want them to make it their piece. I don't want them to interpret my piece. I want them to take it, play with it, and make it theirs.